Hi, I'm Janet Moore, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I have a couple of cards that I would like to share with you and show you exactly how I made them. These are the two cards that I want to show you today, but I've changed up the colors a little bit on the ones I'm doing for you. So I'm going to go ahead and set these aside, and we're going to start. I'm using the Stamparatus, which you cannot buy anymore, so if you have a Misty or anything like that, you can use that. Otherwise, you can use a regular stamping block, but I'll show you why I want to use this. I'm going to ink up my lady with the umbrella and my girl with the umbrella. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp this so I can show you why I want a stamp platform. So I've got those. But what I want to do is you can use a grid, any kind of grid paper. I like to stamp my image on the grid paper when I'm doing this technique, because what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take a piece of designer paper. This is 1 1/4 inch, and I want her umbrella to be that black. So by having it stamped on here, you can see exactly where to put your designer paper, and then you can stamp that down. By the magic of TV, I have one right here, and I also stamped her boots, and I have those right here. But that way you know exactly where to set your paper, because you can see the images here. So I'm going to set this aside, and I was going to start with the one that was being colored. So I'm going to move back to, actually I switched it to where this card, which I paper pieced, what I'm going to show you today, they're going to be colored. So I'm going to start coloring my little girl, and it comes with a die, so you can die cut it out. And I'm using Stampin' blends, and these are the blends that I used. I used the ivory for her hands. I'm going to need to put on some glasses. So I just colored her hands in. And then I used bubble gum for her rain suit. And what I do is I start with the light and color in my whole rain suit. Then I take my dark, same thing, bubble gum. I totally color in the top of her pocket. But then wherever the artist has lines, I go over that with the dark. And then like right under here where you would have a shadow, and under here where you'd have a shadow, I color with my dark blend. And sometimes I like to blend those colors out, but in this case, I really want those shadows to show, so I'm gonna leave that. So I do her umbrella, her outfit, and her boots the same way. For her pants, I use Blueberry Bushel. For her umbrella, I use Melon Mambo. And I also like to take the basic black Stampin' Right marker and color just the bottom of the boots, so you have that black sole. So rather than you watching me color that whole thing, I have her right here, and I have my lady right here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our card pieces, and I started with a Blueberry Bushel cardstock cut in half, so it's 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. That's my card base. Then I have two pieces that are 4 by 5 1/4. One is your basic white that will go inside the card, and this is the I lost my mind, so I gotta look. This is designer paper, Winter Meadow. This is from the Winter Meadow designer paper, sorry. And I liked it because it kind of looked like a stormy sky to me. So what we want to do is I'm going to bring back my Stamparatus, And that's because when you're using a red rubber stamp, you can't see exactly to get your words straight. So I want to use my Stamparatus. And once again, you probably can't see because it's very faint, but I have the words right here stamped on my mat, so I can place my paper right where I know it's going to put my words exactly where I want them. And I always check. And I'm going to stamp that in Blueberry Bushel. Okay. So now that we have that, I want to add some rain. So I'm going to close up my Blueberry Bushel, and I'm going to come in with Smoky Slate. And the stamp set has this really cool raindrops stamp. So I'm going to use that. And I'm going to do Smoky Slate because I want it faint. But with this raindrop, the first thing you want to do is you want to stamp it on a scratch piece of paper because there is an up and down. So I do have it the correct way. So now that I know that, I want to stamp. I'm going to stamp above my words and to the side of my words, but not right on top of my words. And actually, when I made this card, I put rain here and there would not be rain under their umbrellas. So I'm going to kind of set them here so I can get an idea of where I want to stamp. And I'm going to start by stamping here. And I could have used the Blueberry Bushel, but I would have had to stamp off, and I didn't want to stamp off. So now I need rain right here. So to do that, I'm going to get a scratch piece of paper. I'll use this. And just put a scratch piece of paper right there, and then I can stamp this. And not get it on my words. So that is our rain. So now what we want to do is we want to take, now you can use the Stampin' Seal. I like to use the Tombow liquid glue because it gives me a minute to move things around if I don't get them exactly right. So once again, I'm going to put my people where I want them. And what I did for my petals is there is a petal die. It comes with the die set. And I'm just taking a scrap piece of basic white and my Blueberry Bushel. Is that what it was? Yes, Blueberry Bushel. And I'm going to just sponge some color on here to get it the color that I want. And then I can die cut that out because I don't want it this dark. See, this gives you a much lighter shade. So I have my two petals here that I previously did. And I'm going to take and I'm going to glue them down. I normally put my glue pad down and I didn't today, so of course I got a big glob of glue. I do have tweezers because I have too much glue on that. So I'm going to wipe some of that glue off. Okay, so I'm going to take this petal and put it, actually I'm going to do it right there. And my second petal, I'm going to put right under my little girl. And then before I pop them on there, I'm going to go ahead and glue this to my card base. And if you're using Tombow glue, you don't need a lot of glue. This is a really, really strong glue. And this is where I like to use the wet glue, because if I put this down and I don't have it perfectly straight, then I can adjust it a little bit. So there's that. And then I'm going to take my dimensionals. I like to use my Take Your Pick tool. Your Take Your Pick tool actually comes with the tip to pick up like sequins and things, and you get this tip, which is good if you need to try to lift something that's glued down, and it has the piercing point too. So that's what I'm using, just to pick up my dimensionals and put them onto my project. I'm doing the lady first, so I'm putting my dimensionals on her. I'm using the mini dimensionals. They want to stick to the paper they came on today for some reason. So now I'm just taking the backing off. And I'm going to add her right in her puddle. So for her, I used Lemon Lolly and Lemon Lime Twist. So her jacket and her boots are the Lemon Lolly. The umbrella is the Lemon Lime Twist. I did use Dark Pecan Pie for her hair and the Blueberry Bushel for her pants. And I can put a list of everything that I used. I will add that. So now my little girl. My puddle went wonky, so once again, liquid glue, I was able to move it. So that is my card front. And for the inside, you can either add a couple of umbrellas like I did here, or you can add the little dog and an umbrella, or just the little dog by himself. The dog is a stamp. Got a dimensional stuck to me. The dog is a stamp, and there is a die that gives him a little rain slicker. So you can just take your inside white and add your little dog. Then for your envelope, what I like to do for the envelope is just on the back flap, put some raindrops, or you can stamp the little dog and color him in if you want something on the front of your envelope. So that's card number 1. My second card, I'm going to show you paper piercing. So I'm going to take my lady, and I have the umbrella that I stamped in the designer paper, and I'm going to add that right on top of the umbrella that I stamped. And it's probably better to die cut that first anyway, so I'm going to use, I can bring the machine over there. I should have brought the little one over. This is the Stamp Cut and Emboss machine, and I'm just going to put my die on. I like to tape it just to make sure it doesn't move a little bit on me. I use a low-tack artist tape. I don't like to use washi tape because I've had washi tape tear my projects when I tried to pull it off. So would die cut her. And then I have her boots. And what I did is I went ahead and I didn't paper piece her pants. I went ahead and colored them. And you could use the Stampin' blends, the Stampin' markers, your watercolor pencils, or any pencil or marker that you have at home in your stash. I'm going to add a little shading again. They show a little shading where the knees bend. There's going to be some shading right under her coat. And then I'm going to glue on her boots. And even with, I don't know where I put my black marker. I would go ahead and color in the black marker. I didn't die cut this very straight, so I will probably cut off that white edge. If it was even on both sides, I would have left it. But when I'm filming, I'm in a little bit of hurry and I don't take the time that I should take. What I want to do is I want to bring in a sheet of the Botanical Textures designer paper. And that is where I got the paper for her umbrella also. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut it at 1 1/4 inch. And I have found that if you take your paper and you use the measurements on this side instead of your big side, then you have more paper actually flat, and it's just easier to get a straight cut rather than doing it this way to do this way. So 1 1/4 inch. And the length doesn't matter, we're just going to use what we use. And I'm going to bring my Stamparatus back. I'm going to look where her outfit is going to be. I'm doing her outfit, so I actually only need this piece of paper to be about this big. Normally I just leave it on there, but I don't want it to stamp her boots and waste my designer paper. So I'm going to put that. I'm going to take a little bit of temporary adhesive just so that doesn't move on me, because it's hard to use the magnets on this small piece. And ink up her raincoat. And stamp that on my paper. So now I have the raincoat, and with this pattern paper it's a little bit harder to see, but I'm going to take first my brown marker and color in her hair. Now I could actually make her blonde because this paper is light. When you use a darker paper, then you have to go with darker hair. Then what I thought would be fun to do is to take a marker and actually color in these leaves. I don't have to color the whole leaf, only where it's going to show in my little jacket. Then if we wanted to, we could leave the rest of her coat white, or we could actually color it in also. But for the sake of time here, I'm just going to color the green leaves. And you're going to need to fussy cut this part out, so I can actually see my stamped lines. And when you fussy cut, you want to move your paper, not your scissors, as you trim. And I would normally do just a little bit neater job, but is a little opening in the back of her coat that I'm going to cut off. And we're going to glue that on. So you can take any designer paper. Normally you wouldn't need to color your designer paper but with this black and white, I just thought that would be fun. And add that right on top. And so you've got her boots and umbrella matching and her little raincoat. And we would take our card base and also with the dies come these clouds. So what I want to do is I want to use some balmy blue ink, and I just want to add a little definition around the edge of my cards. So I'm going to pounce on my ink. Then I'm going to go like that because I don't want that dark blob color. So I'm just going to lightly color my cloud. I want most of my ink right on the edges. Set those aside. I'm going to take my white that's 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to just add a little blue to it. I got that too dark, so that's going to be the bottom of my card because I want darker at the bottom. I want to create a puddle at the bottom. Instead of using the die cut puddles, I'm just putting a big puddle on the bottom. So on this part, you want your blue really, really light. Then I'm going to take my raindrop stamp and do that in balmy blue. And that's still a little dark, so I'll probably want to stamp off. Hopefully I'll remember to stamp off every time. And I can once again not put rain where under her umbrella. So I can do rain here. And I didn't stamp off, so I'm not going to stamp off on the rest of it. And that rain's a little dark for me, but it's okay. It's really raining hard. I'm going to take that and I'm going to glue it to a sheet of balmy blue. Actually, this, I said wrong. My balmy blue is 4 by 5 1/4, and my white is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, so I have a small margin. I want just a tiny bit of the balmy blue to show. I'm going to take a scrap. Here it is. I have Shy Shamrock, and I have the sentiment that comes with the stamp set. On the first card I showed you, I put "You are the umbrella to my rainy days." On this one, it's "The storm will end and the sun will shine again." So I'm going to stamp that in Shy Shamrock on a scrap of paper. And hopefully not throw it. And just fussy cut this out. You could just do a strip, but in this particular case, I kind of like it fussy cut because I don't want to hide any more of my raindrops than I need to hide. And we're going to just glue that. I'm going to put it down here. I want to pop my lady, but in this particular case, because like I said, I didn't die cut her real good, I'm going to trim some of this white off. Normally I would leave the white. You can see on here I've left all the white. I did just cut the white off the very bottom on the cards where I had the puddles because I didn't want the white under the puddle. But we're going to take our dimensionals and once again we're going to pop her up. And if you have any questions, you can just put them down in the comments and I'll be sure to go back and check those for you. Also, if you enjoy this video and you're watching it on my YouTube channel, if you could like and subscribe. If you hit notifications, then you can be notified when I have a video. I plan on doing a video every single week, and I'm hoping to have a schedule of doing it on Wednesday afternoons. I'm late today. This is actually Friday, but I'm going to try to keep to the Wednesday afternoon. So add her, and you can see the rain. I'm glad since I did it so dark, it's not under her umbrella. Or on this one, I forgot that, so I have a little rain under her umbrella. But we can pretend it's raining before she gets there. But under her umbrella, there is no rain. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to add it to my Shy Shamrock card base that once again is 5.5 and 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then the inside, you could do the same thing. You could just put some umbrellas, and you can do a little dog. One thing I do want to mention is with the die set that comes with this, there is an umbrella die, but it does not cut out the umbrella as a whole. It's going to cut it out into the 4 sections, so you could have different colored sections. So what I do for the umbrella on the inside of my card, I stamped it on designer paper like I showed you earlier, and I used the lady stamp or the girl stamp, it doesn't matter, because the umbrellas are the same size, and then I fussy cut them out because I wanted that one solid piece. There also is the handle die that comes with it. So you have the handle, you have the dies that cut the woman and the girl, you have the puddles, and you have the clouds. So we're going to add some clouds. Tuck that cloud a little bit under her umbrella and in front of the big cloud. And these are the cards that we did today. This is the colored card, and this is the colored card with the blends. This is the paper piecing, and this one is paper piecing. And I will put what designer paper I used and colors I used for all 4 of the cards down below. So I hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope you stop back by and check out my videos every single week. Thank you. Happy stamping.